Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So today I want to do an update on Mohnish Pabrai's stock holdings, okay? International, right? This doesn't cover just the US, it covers all of his equity holdings. Now, just a couple days ago, I was sent a message by one of my connections on Twitter, and he let me know that there's been some recent selling activity in the portfolio of Pabrai funds. So I want to cover that today. And then I want to just kind of give an update to Pabrai's current holdings all over the world. So let's dive in. So this is the website that this gentleman via Twitter sent me. Trendline.com. Okay. Now in trendline.com, you can find a section that says superstars. Okay. So all I did was I clicked superstars. I found Mohnish Pabrai. He's not very far down the list. And this tells us here what Indian holdings he's been buying and selling recently, okay? There's a section called Insider Trades and SAST. Now, what does SAST stand for? It's down here, substantial acquisition of shares and takeovers, all right? So in India, how it works, my understanding is if you own more than 1% of the shares outstanding for a public company, you have to disclose when you buy and sell. Okay, that's sort of the bar for beneficial ownership in India is 1%. In the US, it's 5%. So it's great. We get a lot more transparency in India based on that metric. So if you look here, you can see very recently, all right, over here you can see the period. This was the actual sale date. And then this is when it was reported to the exchange 4 days after the actual sale took place. So right now it's June 24th. All right. So just over a month ago, May 21st, Pabrai sold a chunk of Rain Industries and he sold a chunk of Kolte Patil Developers. All right. And then again, just 2 weeks ago, he sold another chunk of Kolte Patil. Okay. So I wanted to get a sense, how big are these sales that Pabrai is doing with these Indian equities, and just kind of get a sense, or make my best estimate. Is he trying to free up cash? And if so, what is he trying to free up cash for? So let's dive in to his actual portfolio positions. And I got this is where I got this from Ticker Terminal, all right? I talk about Ticker Terminal all the time. You actually need an invite code if you want to get into Ticker Terminal. I can send you an invite code if you guys want. It's in the beta version, so there's no charge at this point. But it's a fantastic tool for analyzing stocks outside of the US. I have tools for analyzing stocks within the US. There's Morningstar, there's Value Line, but Ticker is phenomenal for kind of international holdings, me being US based. But anyway, there's a section called Track Investing Gurus. And within that, you can find Pabrai investment funds, and you can find all of his stock holdings, okay, around the world. So there's 9 current holdings that are listed here. So essentially what I did is I went through, I copied the number of shares held for each of these. I updated the stock price as of today, June 24th, just to get kind of my best estimate of the most current portfolio picture for Mohnish Pabrai and Pabrai funds. So that's what this document is. You can see the shares held, the price from today. That gives us the current value in millions of US dollars for each of these 9 positions. And then what the allocation is. Now, if you add all of these positions up based on the number of shares in ticker and the current price today, it's 481 million with Pabrai funds. I'm pretty sure Pabrai funds has north of 600 million. So it's possible that 120 or more is in cash. It's possible that he has holdings that just haven't been discovered by ticker terminal. Say he owns less than 1% in India or whatever other country. If he falls under that threshold for having to disclose his position, we aren't going to know about it. So this allocation is really just based off of the sum of these portfolio positions that are known. So you can get a sense for, highest conviction bet, Micron Technology. Of course, he made that bet a few years ago. I think he probably paid in the mid $30 per share, 35, 37, somewhere in there, maybe 38 even. And today it's $80, $81 per share. So that's had quite a run up over the last couple of years. But you can just get a sense, the allocation in the portfolio currently. Now, this change in percent change in number of shares held, that's based on this latest reporting date. What the change in the position was. Obviously, when the 13 Fs came out from the first quarter, let's just silence that. He sold off around 15% of Micron, no change to speak of in Seritage Growth Properties. And then you can see changes from these shareholder reports and the Japan 5% filing. So that gives you a sense for what he's done recently in terms of selling or adding to the position. This percent of shares outstanding held, this is from the business's perspective, right? So from the perspective of Micron Technology, Pabrai owns 0.1% of the shares outstanding for that company. So you have both from the Pabrai fund's perspective in terms of allocation, and you've got at the business level, what percentage of shares does Pabrai funds own? So that's kind of an overview with these updated figures here in terms of values. Now I want to pull out of Trendline the recent activity. So what I did down here, I listed Rain Industries and Colte Patil, the sell date, the number of shares that were sold for Rain on this date, and then Colte Patil on these two dates, what the price of the stock was in US dollars on those sell dates. So we can see how much cash did Pabrai actually get out of selling these chunks of these positions. And then how big a chunk was it? So Rain Industries, he sold 26% of the original position before this sale, okay? 26% less is what Pabrai Funds owns after that transaction. And then Colte Patil sold off 47% of that Indian business. So as a result of that, we've got about $27 million that got freed up. Obviously, some of this is going to be subject to capital gains taxes depending on the original purchase price of the stock for Pabrai. I haven't tracked that. I'm not exactly sure what the original purchase price was, how much gain is involved in these transactions. But, we don't need to get into the deep weeds here. Just going to assume, 27 million is now available to be deployed, which, is a decent chunk. It's like 5% of the portfolio. A little less if we assume it's north of 600 million for the entire fund. But based on the current equity value in the portfolio, it's actually a bit more than 5%. So just to speculate, since who doesn't like to speculate, Pabrai, in his most recent talk with SumZero, mentioned that he's currently buying more Alibaba, okay? And that talk was given this month in June of 2021. So it's possible he's selling down some of these positions because he wants to put more capital into Alibaba. He mentioned Naspers as a way to buy into Tencent, another very dominant kind of e-commerce player in China. He definitely seems to want to be getting more and more exposure to China. In that talk with SumZero, he said, the two really interesting areas for me right now are Turkey and large tech in China. Okay, that's really where he's looking at the moment, according to his latest Q&A. So, pretty sure he's not putting more into Micron, right? He sold a 15% piece in the first quarter of 2021. Seritage, if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably not buying more Seritage. He said in a recent talk, if he had this new framework that he kind of downloaded from Nick Sleep back when Seritage came across his desk, he's not sure he would have bought it, okay? So I don't think he'll be adding more to Seritage. Maybe if it gets down below 10, possibly could increase his stake there. But he has a pretty decent chunk, right? He owns over 10% of the company. I think when he bought, it was like a 13% position. It's been diluted a little bit, not functionally diluted, because these operating partnership units have been converted into common. But in the numbers, it looks like there's been dilution. Nice holdings in South Korea, potentially adding to that. He did add, it looks like in the last quarter of 2020 to Nice Holdings. I think this is one that he sees as a long-term compounder. I don't know if he's directly mentioned that he sees this one as having spawner DNA. I don't know much about Nice Holdings. It's South Korea. I haven't figured out a way to access South Korea, so I haven't looked into this one. But clearly he's added not too long ago, so could be adding more to this one. Edelweiss in India, sold in the first quarter of 2021, so he's probably not adding to that one. If I had to guess, Rain Industries, again, we just saw he sold off in May of 2021, so that wouldn't make sense for him to be buying more Rain at current prices. Alibaba, of course, that's a new buy in the first quarter of 2021. And again, he explicitly stated, we're currently buying more, okay? We're actively buying Alibaba. So that's probably my best guess in terms of why he's selling off Rain and Colty Patil. He's kind of turning the aircraft carrier, which is what he referred to his portfolio as a few talks ago, slowly turning it to really be aligned with the long-term compounder framework versus the buying $1 for 50 cents. Shinken, okay, pretty big ad in the first quarter of 2021. Could be buying more Shinken. He's talked about this Japanese company, hasn't called it out by name, but it's the only Japanese company in his portfolio. And he seems pretty bullish on it. Seems to think it's cheap, it's a spawner. I did a video on Shinken in the past, real estate developer / property management company. An increasing chunk of revenue is recurring, okay, sort of high value, high multiple recurring revenue. So he could be adding to that one. Suntech, haven't really looked into. And of course, Races. Races is the company he talks about like every Q&A. All right, he is so bullish on Races. Of course, he says it's gone up 7x since he bought it. He bought it when it was about a 19 million market cap, and now it's somewhere around 140 million market cap. But, he thinks the equity is worth 800 million, okay? Liquidation value, replacement cost to build those warehouses. So, and he thinks it's going to grow over time. He thinks it's got a great capital allocator team at the helm, and he's just super excited about Races. So he could be adding to that one as well. So there's a lot he could be doing with the cash. He may just not like Rain and Colty Patil anymore. Maybe the story has changed with those companies, and he he sees more downside risk or potential less upside, and decided to start pulling out of those positions. So again, this is all speculation, but I am drawing on a few recent talks that he's done. If any of you guys, have any thoughts about why he's drawing down his positions in Rain and Colte Patil, whether he might be buying Naspers, we're not going to know if he's buying Naspers in all likelihood. I don't know what the rules are in South Africa in terms of what you have to disclose when you're buying a public company, but it is a very large company, Naspers, because of what the Tencent position has become. So, even if Pabrai puts a full position into Naspers, somewhere around 50 million, it's not going to show up in all likelihood on any kind of disclosure, because it'll be just too small a percentage of the shares outstanding. So, but he likes Naspers, right? He's mentioned that in, I think, a couple recent talks. He's really seems to have a man crush on, the CEO of Naspers. Just the incredible job that he did of buying Tencent in 2001 and holding on through all of this pressure, right, to sell. So, and of course, with Naspers, the primary driver now, the primary objective is to narrow this gap between NAV and what the stock is trading at. That's part of Prosus, right? That's why Prosus came into being in, I believe it's based in the Netherlands, to try to close this gap a little bit between net asset value and share price for Naspers. So really interesting story. I'm continuing to dive into that one. But I think that's about it, guys. Just wanted to give you the most current picture of Pabrai Fund's portfolio that I can muster right now. Let me know if you guys have any differing thoughts on these positions. If I missed something somewhere, please let me know. I know a lot of you folks follow Pabrai very closely as well. So let's work together in making this the most accurate estimate of what's happening, most accurate picture of what's happening at Pabrai Funds that we collectively can. So thank you as always for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.